It is definitive after episode 4 of The Acolyte that if you are on board with this show, if you are on board with what Disney is doing to Star Wars, if you are on board with anything Leslie Hedland related, anything Lucasfilm related post 2012, you cannot call yourself a real Star Wars fan. Now, what I mean by this is that The Acolyte is proof, specifically episode 4, episode 3 as well. I think episode 4 is actually worse for Star Wars than episode 3, and I'm going to explain exactly why. You see, these dummies behind The Acolyte, you know, these writers, and I'm including Dave Filoni in this because he could have put a big giant X on this idea to include Ki-Adi-Mundi in The Acolyte. He could have put a stop to it, but he didn't. And the reason why is, well, it could be one of two things. One, he's a pussy, right? He just could not say no to Kathleen Kennedy, to Leslie Hedland. Or they are purposely undoing George Lucas's vision of Star Wars. Because it's definitive. At the time of the prequels, Ki-Adi-Mundi was in his 60s, maybe 70s. He was born in 92 BBY. Now, this abomination, this cancer that Lucasfilm is trying to pass as Star Wars takes place 138 years before the Battle of Yavin, before the prequels in Star Wars. Which means that motherfucker right there should not be alive. Now, some are calling this a plot hole. You know, some are, the shills, the people that are bought and paid for by Disney. They are doing backflips right now. You should see them. It's a beautiful thing. They shouldn't be in the Olympics. These people are acrobats. Trying to explain this garbage, right? But there's no explaining it. You cannot make a logical explanation as to why Ki-Adi-Mundi should be alive during the prequels. But if you look at what they're doing behind the scenes, what Leslie Hedland has said about George Lucas, what the cast say about Star Wars, these people don't like Star Wars. They don't like what it is. They don't like what it represents. They don't like George Lucas. And more importantly, they don't like you. So they are doing everything and anything possible to desecrate the corpse, which is Star Wars. And this is just another desecration right there. That's all Ki-Adi-Mundi is in this episode 4 of The Acolyte. He is Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Hedland taking a squat over the corpse, which is Star Wars, and taking a huge dump on it. That's what this is. And anybody that is with it, they are for the desecration of the legacy of Star Wars, and thus you cannot call yourself a real Star Wars fan. That's what I've been talking about here, people, for the longest, since this abomination was released. This is an us versus them, and we are the majority. We are the real Star Wars fans, and we are not going to stop. Theory, I was watching his stream. He's not going to stop. We're going to keep pointing and laughing at these dummies over at Lucasfilm, over at Star Wars. And yes, I am including Dave Filoni because that idiot could have put a stop to this. But he didn't. Because again, the goal is to desecrate the legacy of Star Wars. Now, what I suspect that they are going to do with this, because I believe this was deliberate. This is why I believe that they included Ki-Adi-Mundi in The Acolyte. The reason why is because they want to explain the existence of a Sith-like being, which is, we saw the Smilo Ren, the Mary Poppins motherfucker that floated in. That's another thing. These people, they can fly now, apparently. They wanted to be able to explain that because you see in the prequels, as we all know, real Star Wars fans, we know Ki-Adi-Mundi was the one that told Qui-Gon Jinn that is impossible. The Sith have not been around for a millennia. We know this. Real Star Wars fans, we know this. So they purposely put Ki-Adi-Mundi in there to make him a liar in the prequels. 100%. That's why he was in there. And also, side note, by the way, if you don't know who that green lady is, that is the wife of Leslie Hedland, the showrunner, the creator of The Acolyte. And, you can tell by her atrocious acting that she didn't get the job because she was the best person for the show. And that is a pattern with The Acolyte. They did not pick people based on talent. That goes for the writers, that goes for the actors. It was all based on favoritism. It was all based on pushing identity politics and also, you know, doing a favor for your main squeeze. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think down in the comments. Please subscribe because we have to stay strong. We have to unite as a fandom and we have to show Disney that we are not with this garbage. But anyway, sensational.